Millions of people suffer from thalassophobia. Psychologists typically classify this as an intense, irrational fear of the deep ocean. It is the overwhelming panic you feel when treading water over a pitch-black void. But look at this chart. The ocean covers roughly 70% of our planet, yet human science has documented less than a quarter of it. The vast majority of our own world remains a complete mystery. We treat this fear like a psychological error, but the anxiety you feel when looking at open water is actually a highly tuned evolutionary survival mechanism. The further you travel from the surface, the less the ocean behaves by the rules of terrestrial life. You enter a space governed by entirely alien laws of physics and biology. Today, we are going to examine 3 specific, verified scientific phenomena. Together, they prove exactly why the deep sea is a definitively hostile environment for human beings. For centuries, sailors returning to port told terrifying stories of massive walls of water that appeared out of perfectly calm seas to swallow ships whole. Scientists entirely dismissed these accounts as nautical myths and tall tales. That perspective shifted in 1995. The Dropner oil platform in the North Sea was hit by an 84-foot rogue wave, and its onboard sensors captured the exact moment of impact. The myth became verified data. This animation shows the mechanics behind these waves. Unlike tsunamis, which are triggered by earthquakes, rogue waves form when multiple independent ocean swells move across the water at completely different speeds and frequencies. Occasionally, these mismatched swells perfectly align. When that happens, they transfer all of their kinetic energy into a single towering anomaly. And the danger extends beyond wave height to tidal forces. When powerful currents collide in narrow straits, they form massive maelstroms. The Saltstraumen in Norway, pictured here, generates whirlpools over 30 feet wide and 15 feet deep. The surface of the ocean operates with extreme unpredictability. It generates forces capable of snapping a cargo ship entirely in half, or dragging a diver violently downward before the crew even has time to sound an alarm. The surface is perilous, but the ocean floor hides highly deceptive traps. Deep in the Gulf of Mexico sits a geological formation appropriately named the Jacuzzi of Despair, an actual lake located entirely underwater. This diagram illustrates a brine pool. The water inside these deep-sea craters is incredibly dense, weighed down by heavy concentrations of salt and toxic methane gas. Because of this extreme weight, it cannot mix with the regular seawater above it. This density difference establishes a hard physical boundary. The brine pool develops its own isolated surface underwater, complete with localized waves and chemical shores. Deep-sea scavengers, like crabs or eels, often mistake these shores for feeding grounds. The moment they accidentally breach that chemical layer and enter the pool, they go into immediate toxic shock. The local chemistry suffocates them instantly, creating a perfectly preserved, highly saline graveyard resting at the bottom of the sea. This raises a critical question about the animals that do survive down in the abyss. They have to endure freezing temperatures, total darkness, and the crushing weight of thousands of feet of water. To cope, they undergo a biological glitch known as abyssal gigantism. In an environment where food is incredibly scarce, species that remain tiny on land are forced by evolution to grow to massive proportions. A regular garden pillbug is about half an inch long. Its deep-sea cousin, the giant isopod shown here, grows to over 2 feet in length and heavily armored. While coastal squids are roughly the size of your forearm, the extreme pressures of the deep sea produce the colossal squid. This animal can grow to 46 feet long. To effectively hunt in pitch-black conditions, the colossal squid developed eyes the size of dinner plates and thick tentacles lined with razor-sharp, rotating hooks. Stripped of sunlight and warmth, biological evolution throws out the rules we recognize on land and optimizes these species purely for lethality. 100-foot waves snapping ships in half, toxic underwater lakes, and deep-sea gigantism are not random anomalies. They are the baseline rules of the oceanic environment. When you look at the dark water and feel a deep sense of dread, your brain is processing facts, not irrational anxieties. That fear is your terrestrial DNA recognizing a biome entirely incompatible with human life. We are terrestrial creatures, fragile and temporary visitors on a planet definitively ruled by water, immense pressure, and absolute darkness. If you want to learn more about the terrifying mechanics of our world, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.